Your current life is perfectly designed to reflect your current habits. If you want different results, you need different habits.
Okay. So what you're saying is, if you don't have the results that you want right now, create different habits by being aware, gaining clarity, transforming, doing those things on a regular basis. That doesn't necessarily look like a rut. That could just be something that you need in your life to be able to do life the way you want it.
Tulsa Talks is the podcast that is inspiring people to have everyday meaningful conversations to gain perspective and help the world.
Welcome to Tulsa Talks. Corey Martin here with us again, and he is all about his life of helping people through his awareness, clarity, and transformation process. He calls it the ACT process.
The ACT framework.
ACT framework.
Right.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So you were here before. People may not have seen the previous podcast. So who is Corey Martin in a 30-second statement?
30-second statement. I am me, and there is nothing else you need to know. There's my elevator speech.
Yeah.
I've created what I call the unstuck method after spending years dissecting intentionally why do people come to me when stuff hits the fan. And I've dissected that to the point of realizing that I have been doing this my whole life. I just never put a name to it. When you get yourself into a position, and we all go through it, where we're stuck, we don't know what to do next. I don't mean stuck like I'm stuck in traffic or something like that. I mean, like I'm looking at myself and I know what I need to be doing. I'm just not doing it. Why or why not? We need to dissect that why. We need to become aware. That's the first part. That's the A part.
What is a typical person's reason for doing or not doing? It's awareness?
Well, part of the awareness is dissecting the why. Is there a fear? That's a big one, right? Fear of failure. Maybe it's fear of success. Maybe it's fear of rejection. Maybe it's
apprehension of the unknown, of not taking where to step next.
All of the above. Another reason beyond fear is overwhelm and decision fatigue. It's not that you don't have enough information. It's that you have too much information and you don't know what to do with it. How many times have we gotten analysis paralysis? I'm guilty of that myself. There's all of these things I could do, yet I'm not doing any of them because I don't know where to start. So decision fatigue is another one. Procrastination. I think.
What's the difference in analysis paralysis and procrastination?
Well, analysis paralysis is using the excuse that it's not good enough yet. It's not perfect yet. I think delaying the inevitable is distractibility in terms. I just simply can't do the thing that I want to do because I'm distracted by this over here. I'm procrastinating. I just don't want to do that thing. And that could be unpacked in a different light as well. So that's the main part of awareness, is determining where your fears come from. Or is it overwhelm? Is it decision fatigue? What is it at its core that you need to be aware of that's preventing you from doing the thing you know you should be doing?
So people might know what they should be doing inside themselves, but then they're conflicted by these three possibilities, or the possibility of these three things being active in their life.
Right. You might have a goal to create a podcast, and yet you never started it because you were afraid of the unknowns. I don't know technology very well. So that right there could be the reason why somebody doesn't do the thing. You can get past your own fears, though. Okay, I have a technology
consultant? or a block? How do I get past the block?
You hit both, right? I was going to say that. I have a block in my mind where technology is not my forte. Well, cool. There are other people that technology is their forte. I can utilize them as one of my 40 core people, right? Where's your spoke in the wheel? Go find the other spokes in the wheel.
The clarity.
Right.
What happens with that?
Clarity.
So we dealt with awareness.
Right.
And why people aren't taking that first step, the first step, and why they're not taking the first step.
Right. Clarity, another way to look at that is ultimately, what do you want? You could
I want to be happy.
You could take that as deeper, as shallow as you want. I want to be happy. Great. Let's dissect that. On a more practical level, I deal with real estate agents a lot. So let's take real estate agents and their productivity, right? I want to make more money this year. That is fog. That's not clarity. I want to make $127,000 this year. That's clarity. That's a specific goal. And that specific goal could be broken down and attained by specific measurable actions. Those actions put together create the transformation stage. So this clarity stage is creating those goals and creating those small steps. It doesn't matter how big your goal is if you're frozen in place. So what's that very first next step you can do? Let's go back to the real estate agent thing. I got a goal of making $127,000 this year, and I know I need to talk to 25 people a week in order to do that. A goal for today would be to talk to 5 people. That's a measurable goal. Now, if I made that goal for the next 5 weeks, and every week, every day, I talk to 5 people 5 days a week for 5 weeks. In 5 weeks from now, I'm creating that transformation.
Yeah, you all have spoken to 125 people at that time.
Right.
Which is a lot more than is normal, or is that kind of a normal thing to be able to get to that place?
Beyond that, it's the consistency of doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's working out that muscle. It's creating the habit of doing it. It's marrying the process and divorcing the results. Because I know that if I do the process over and over and over again, it will create the results.
Okay. Transformation. What is that?
Doing those results over and over and over again until they become habit, until you have changed effectively into the person you are supposed to be in the next chapter.
How do you not get into a rut with that? Okay, so I'm in a rut right now because I've done everything that I've always done the way that I've always done it, at least for the short period, at least for a period of time in my life. Now I'm in a rut. What do I do with that?
Great question. Let me see if I can say this phrase correctly. Your current life is perfectly designed to reflect your current habits. If you want different results, you need different habits.
Okay. So what you're saying is, if you don't have the results that you want right now, create different habits by being aware, gaining clarity, transforming, doing those things on a regular basis. That doesn't necessarily look like a rut. That could just be something that you need in your life to be able to do life the way you want it. And then when you get into feeling like what's next, that awareness, clarity, and transformation could be activated again.
Absolutely.
And do you think there are any people out there that don't have any awareness of what they actually want?
Yes, I think there's a lot of people that just go through the motions.
Yeah. And what I've found a lot of people that are hating to go to work Monday, can't wait to get off work Friday.
Right.
Have you ever met people like that?
All the time.
Do they really want anything different? Or do they want to be complainers? Is probably a reasonable question.
Very reasonable. And only they can answer that.
So have you ever tried to help anybody in that position?
Yes.
Without them asking?
The phrase, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Very true. You can give someone all the tools they need. You can pour your heart and soul into them. And if they just simply don't want to see the step right in front of them, let me phrase it to you differently. I heard this in one of my prayers one time. He said, your job is to plant the seed. My job is to change the heart. It's not my job to change their hearts. It's simply my job to plant the seed. Detach again from the results, right? The process is to go through this with you and help plant that seed so you can grow your own seed and see where you need to make your adjustments.
Yeah, I've got a friend of mine that says without enough pain, there is no change.
That's right.
And it seems like a lot of people are experiencing a lot of pain.
I think so too.
There's also a parable in the Bible talks about planting seed in good ground and different types, and a stony heart. That's a hard thing to pierce.
Yes.
And it seems like for God to pierce those hearts, it would take a lot more pain for those people. And I pray that we get connected with people with good soil.
I do too.
And the row has already been plowed in their life.
Right.
So those seeds can be activated.
That's right.
How do you know the difference in the person that's ready to receive and the person that's just complaining to you?
I'm going to answer that a little bit differently. It's not my place to know that. It's my place to plant the seed. The right people will hear the message. But you're going to talk to several people that are the wrong people. How many people have you dated in your life before you met your wife? You can talk to a lot of different people before the seed gets planted in the right heart. You can date a lot of different people until you meet the right one, right? Similar concept. It's not my job to change their hearts. It's my job to plant the seed. And I am confident with only a conviction that comes from the divine that the right ears and the right heart will hear the message. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're building is the audience. We are bringing this to the people. The people will find it. The people will find it.
Yeah. Build it. Allow them to know that it exists. And they will come?
There's work involved in that, yes. It's not like you just press play and they show up, but do the things with the confidence that the results will come.
Yeah. You know the old saying, build it and they will come?
That's right.
If you build it and you don't allow them to know that it exists, they will never show up.
That's right. That's a phrase in the real estate world is don't be a secret agent. How are people going to utilize you in business if they don't know what you do for business? Don't be a secret agent.
How are you currently getting your ACT? What did you say it was? ACT pathway? ACT?
The ACT framework.
Framework. How are you actively getting the ACT framework out instead of being a secret agent?
That's a great question. As a real estate agent, that is my sandbox. I'm a licensed instructor with the Oklahoma Real Estate Commission, so I've created a school and created CE credit for a particular class, 2-hour CE credit, that I coach on, the Unstuck Method. That class is my announcement to the world of what this is. So far, I've given that class to a handful of different brokerages over the last couple of weeks, and we'll continue doing that to find an audience.
What's the response been so far?
Continues to validate that it needs to be done. Continues to tell me that I'm not the only one that feels this way. I'm not the only one that goes, I could do that. That's a great idea.
Take us into your realm a little bit about a little ways into how you're doing this in public setting. So if I got you to come in and talk at Complete Peace, we had a public event, we had you show up and share a little bit about what my experience might be.
Okay. In a long training, it's very interactive. There's 7, 8, 9 different exercises that you are working through your self-beliefs and that type of stuff, your mindset and your approach to all of that with prompts, with exercises, with reflection. If I were to stand up in front of a group of people for 20 minutes and had one thing to say and wanted one thing for them to know, you have the ability to get yourself unstuck if you will take the time to consciously, intentionally dissect your beliefs around the why you don't want to do something. Have you ever heard of the book, The Object is the Way?
I've not.
Man, that's a great book. Ryan Holiday, I believe is what it is. Somebody can double check me at some point in time. But the Object is the Way is a Stoic framework of there is something in your life that you are avoiding. That is the object that's the way. You need to stop avoiding it and jump right into it. Similar in your mindset, there is a belief of why you can't do the thing that you think you are supposed to be doing. Why do you have that belief? Dive into it. Because what you tell yourself is not always true. So if I had a 20-minute speech and all I could do was get one point across, it would be that you have the ability to figure it all out on your own if you spend the time to dissect your beliefs and with intentionality.
Does Corey Martin ever get stuck?
All the time, man. All the time. I feel like at this stage of my life, I am shedding a new skin daily. It's lonely. Growth is lonely. You shed not just layers of your own skin and your own beliefs, but you shed people too. And that can be hard to accept.
Why?
Well, one of those people that you're shedding is the former you. And I don't know about you, but I got a pretty good relationship with me. I know me pretty well. And there's a lot of things that I'm going to miss about the old me that the new me is not about. So diving into some of that and embracing it, being comfortable with the uncomfortable conversations with yourself.
You're choosing to grow. You're choosing to not be stuck. You're choosing to rid yourself of those things that kept you from living the fullest life that you could live. And that's not comfortable.
Growth is often uncomfortable. It can be very positive, but it's still uncomfortable.
What does that mean, uncomfortable? What does it feel like? Can you use more words with that?
I can. Let me give a specific example. We have talked about addiction before. Myself, I have drank my last drink of alcohol on January 31st, 2024. For several years before that, it was an internal battle. Not so much an addiction where I can't stop when I start, not to the point where I have detrimental impact on relationships or anything like that, but it was bad for my health. I mean, as simple as that sounds, that's where it is. 2 beers and I hurt. That's not okay. I started telling myself, this is a poison that I no longer need. This is a poison that I'm putting in my body to make me feel good for an hour. Yet it might have lasting impact for days, weeks, decades, years. Who knows? I don't know. But I made the conscious decision that this no longer serves me. Now, it took me a couple of years before I actually stopped.
Why?
Had to wrestle with it in my own head.
Why?
I had to break away from my identity around alcohol. I am a musician. In a former life, I was a bartender and a musician. 7 days a week, I'm in a bar. That was my life. I found and have majority of my good relationships with friends through bars and music scene and alcohol, right? Has been a very center of it all. And I had to detach from the booze itself, away from the relationships, away from everything. I mean, I can go play a gig and drink water and I have no problems with that. But it hadn't always been that way. It hadn't always been that way. So taking the self journey of sobriety as an uncomfortable growth mechanism, knowing that I'm the problem. Nobody's drinking this booze for me. Nobody's making me drink this. I can stop doing this. Why am I not? And it took me a couple of years to answer the why am I not. And the last thing that just divinely imprinted on my heart for several months leading up to the celebration of the last beer I ever drank, and that's a whole nother story.
It was a celebration of the last beer.
It was very much a celebration of the last beer.
So you're putting something down for yourself, and the dichotomy is that it was celebrated.
It was.
Okay. Help me understand that mindset.
Okay, so oddly enough,
why would you celebrate something, putting something down that wasn't good for you?
I was celebrating all the great memories that this beer and this what's in this bottle. Founder's Breakfast Stout was my favorite beer that I ever drank. I had one beer left in my fridge. January 31st is actually my cousin's birthday. We are a few months apart. That was his 40th birthday, so I turned 40 in a few months. I don't know why I did it that day, but it just stuck with me, his birthday. And I said, okay, I'm going to drink this last beer in my fridge, and this is going to be it. And I went out on my back patio, which is my center of the universe, by myself. Nobody was home. And I had a 20-minute celebration with God and with the universe that this was all of the fun times. And I shed a tear even thinking, thank you for all the relationships that I've built around this, for all the great conversations that I've had around this. Thank you for giving me the strength to realize that I am stronger than this, and I don't need this to be funny, happy, successful, whatever it might be. I don't need that, but it took a long time for me to still do the thing. It was very uncomfortable admitting to myself that I am the problem here. But I'm also the solution. I'm the only one that's going to drink that booze. So I'm also the only one that's not going to drink that booze. That was my journey of sobriety. I didn't sit in here to have a sobriety journey, but
that's what we're talking about here. Getting unstuck and how you got unstuck from a specific thing,
right,
and how we can procrastinate, or we can paralysis analysis ourselves, or we can fear ourselves taking that next step of uncertainty into clarity and transformation. And that's what you just described here with beautiful story. What happened with the friends? Did they reject you because you no longer drank? Or why can you not be around those people? Because you did say that, right? You had lost some friends through this sobriety? I
wouldn't say lose as in a conscious breakup with a girlfriend kind of thing. I would say lose as in there were people in my life then that are just not in my life now.
Because you don't go to the same place doing the same thing?
Right. Because I'm not living that same life. I don't see those same people anymore. Including me, the bartender that would take a shot with you, that would drink you under the table all night long and have a great time doing it. And I made a really good income doing that, right? It was a part of my life. So saying goodbye to that person, me even, was part of it.
How do you get the fulfillment and the joy and the fun and the acceleration inside yourself? Because you just painted a picture for me. I mean, you gave me a video seeing Corey Martin in action as a bartender, slamming them down, having a good time, being a little rowdy. You do have an energetic tone just to yourself, let alone your words, the way you carry yourself, the way your words flow off, the tone, everything about you, just energy. So I saw a video. How do you get that out? How do you still live that? Because that's who you are. Is that right?
That is very right. Surprisingly, as this may sound, the more I shed the layers of the unwanted, the more that energy comes out. Let me draw a specific example. Music, playing music, as a drummer in particular. I have had more comments on my drumming abilities, and I've had more positive comments after gigs since being sober than I had in 25 years prior to that. And I think a lot of it is because I'm a lot more me without the booze or without that.
But people go to bars, or people have told me several times that they go to bars and in order to be lively and to be more them, they drink.
Yes. I think there's a lot of truth to that. It's just embracing who you are. If you can become... there are several different kinds of drinkers, right? There's the person that gets extra loud and extra fun. And sure, that liquid courage helps them. Can you be that person without the booze?
I can.
I can too.
I've never been a person that had to do alcohol or drugs to be me.
Right.
And I was a lot more high energy before I became centered. And I was one of those guys that you would see on Facebook or wherever, just rah, 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 rah. And that's when I thought that I was supposed to talk at people or to them. And then I've been refined where I am in my life. Maybe I'm getting old and lazy. But just a casual conversation. I don't think
lazy is a word I would use to describe you.
Casual conversation, intentionally geared to be able to understand others and myself better, is a lot more effective with this tone than the high energy. And I'm still able to be center of attention if I want to be.
Yeah.
Without having to be a ruckus.
Right.
So that's where I am on my journey, just to tell you, if anybody wonders, why does Craig talk slow? Why does Craig have a soft tone? And it's because where I am. Yeah. I want to engage people and give them an opportunity to share. But I used to go to the bars, and I was that guy.
Sure.
I walked in. People have told me that we both have a strong presence. And I was that guy that wasn't the bartender, but I was center of attention, maybe second to you.
Right.
Being the bartender.
Right. Very much so.
Even though we never went to the same bar, I could envision it.
Sure. I can see it too.
So you shed alcohol, and with that, it sheds some relationships because you don't go to the same places.
Sure.
But you still go to drum.
Yes.
At some of those same places?
Sure, yes.
So you still interact with those people sometimes.
Right.
Not as much.
Right.
What's the level of intimacy now compared to what it was?
Some of the musicians that I play with on a regular basis we have not done this consciously or together, but have embraced sobriety at the same time. And that has been a unique journey to see our musicianship develop over 20 years. I mean, some of these people I've played with since early 20s, so 20 years now. And how it's evolved into something so much better now than it was 20 years ago. Sure, some of that's just skill set and time, but I think the sobriety has a lot more to do with it than anything. I think that booze or any substance that you put in your body often puts a mask on what you truly are. Yeah. And if you can shed that mask, then the world will truly see what you're about, whatever that talent, skill set thing is for you. You can be a great gardener, and as a sober gardener, your garden's going to look a lot prettier, right? I believe that.
But you have to be aware of yourself.
Yes. And
you have to appreciate yourself.
Right.
To be yourself without alcohol.
You mentioned other people a little bit too. I have not had anyone sober shame me. We'll put it that way. I've not had any of that. Now, I'm skilled in communication, possibly above average than the average person in the moment. What I mean by that is there are things that I can say that I've learned over the years. I mean, even when I wasn't sober and I went to play a gig and I didn't want to drink, you can say, I'm not drinking tonight, and you're going to get sober shamed. You can say, I quit drinking, and you're going to get praise. Like, great job, man. I quit drinking. I don't drink anymore. Good job. Good for you. You're going to get that a lot more than, come on, man, just take that shot with me. Come on, man. You can do it. So embrace the sober, embrace that with other people, even if they're not in the same journey with you. Most people will respect that. I mean, there's still the devils out there, but most human beings.
Maybe they're at a place where they don't really like drinking anymore either. And maybe you're an encourager to them.
That's right.
Maybe that's why they respond that way.
Absolutely. It's a mirror. Very much so. We've talked about that in here before. How other people reflect upon you is typically a mirror of them.
Yeah.
Yes. I very much believe that. I like your shirt, by the way.
First ones. We should have many more coming. We're in queue, actually, to order several hundred of them to be able to let people know that we are here to help. And you help people with the ACT, Awareness, Clarity, and Transformation, and the Complete Peace movement helps them know that they can strongly say, I am one piece. None of us have all of the answers.
Amen.
But we do have the answers inside ourselves, like your system helps people understand. We do have the answers inside ourselves, or at least we can have questions asked, and answers can actually come from outside.
Yes.
That we can incorporate into ourselves.
Yes.
So I am one piece means I am complete, and so are other people around me, and we can appreciate them for who they are. I don't have to be you. I don't want to be you. I hope you don't want to be me. I hope you want to be you. And we can live this adventure out in our individual bodies, communally and collectively, to move something forward that God promised a long time ago. And I don't see it as active as I envision it. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So that people can say for themselves, I am one piece, and know that their voice matters.
Yes.
We have two things synergistically working here. Tulsa Talks, your voice matters, and the Complete Peace movement, I am one piece. Life can be very complicated, haphazardly lived by fear, analysis paralysis, and what was the third one?
Procrastination.
Procrastination. And what's amazing to me is when you include people in your life that have went where you want to go, and other people that you can help get to where they want to go. It can be like puzzle pieces fitting together, orchestrated for us to be in each other's lives, to propel each other to something that we can't be by ourselves.
Right.
In other words, thanks for coming. I'm glad you're a part of my life. And remember, you can strongly say, I am one piece.
We are here to help you discover or develop your passions, how you can use them, and why you exist. How can we help you help others better?